What's up, everybody? A Ward here, and I'm here to let you know that the A Ward Show is now officially brought to you by the Ripple to Wave Foundation, where they're manifesting waves of impact, one ripple at a time. Ripple to Wave empowers volunteers to create real change, from mentoring youth and protecting the environment to supporting those people in need. That includes seniors, veterans, and even animals. Yes, even animals. Every project is a chance to make your ripple in the community, and together, those ripples form waves of impact. The team at Ripple to Wave stays active with projects and events just about every weekend, and they're growing fast. Their Albuquerque, New Mexico team just launched their first project, and they're only getting started since their official launch on June 2nd of 2025. Get involved, volunteer, and learn more at rippletowavefoundation.org. That's Ripple, the number 2, wavefoundation.org. Follow them on all their socials at Ripple, the number 2, Wave Foundation on Instagram and Facebook, and subscribe to them on YouTube. Together, let's make some waves. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the A Ward Show. I'm your host and curator and engineer and videographer and editor. I am all the things. I am A Ward, and I thank you for tapping into another episode of my show. Appreciate you guys pulling up for another week. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, comment, share, tell a friend to tell a friend, tell their mama, their cousins, their grandmama, and them. Pull up on the A Ward Show. Make sure you guys go follow my partners, Ripple to Wave, A Dot, and Lost Perception, who does the music for the WHATCHA Hurts. Make sure you guys go pull up on them. Let them know that your boy, A Ward, sent you. Make sure you guys hit that link tree. Follow your boy on all the social sites and all that, all right? Whether it be TikTok, Instagram, whatever the case may be. If you cannot watch this on YouTube, I appreciate you guys who are watching on YouTube. Or you can't watch it on certain social medias. If you guys want to hear the full audio podcast and the sultry sounds of A Ward, you can find me on all the major ones, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartMedia, whatever the case may be. I'm there, and if I'm not there, let me know, and I'm pulling up. Now, been a kind of interesting week in sports. As of this recording, I'm shooting this on a Monday, so the men's national championship will be tonight. I won't be able to talk about that today. Excuse me. But, I will be able to kind of talk about some of the women's, national championship, which was yesterday, Sunday, as of when I'm recording this. And then there was just some, little headlines here and there, and some stuff I wanted to talk about, especially we'll get into the Geno Auriemma issues. Some stuff about Jalen Hurts has been popping up in these streets. Some teammates have been talking about him. LeBron James, I'm really not going to talk about the LeBron James thing where he said he doesn't like playing in Memphis. Is what it is. I think people are making a bigger discussion out of it. But anyways, you guys know this is the time of the week where I talk about sports, and I probably don't know what the hell I'm talking about. This is Yo No Say Nada. Yo no sé nada. All right, like I said, we're going to get into a couple different things, and I think kind of the the overall theme of maybe this episode is going to be perception, narrative versus reality, because that's kind of what's been going on recently, and it's more a discussion. I have my thoughts on certain things, but I just want to have a discussion with y'all, with the people, and try to figure out if we can get to the bottom of this. So we're going to start off with Jalen Hurts, the Jalen Hurts discussion. And I saw this question posed. I think it was on Bomani Jones' show, but I think it was Bomani Jones that asked the question. It might have been a guest of his that asked this question. But the question was, when it comes to Jalen Hurts, is Jalen Hurts considered one of the best because they win? Or do they win because Jalen Hurts is one of the best quarterbacks in the league? Now, a lot of people have Jalen Hurts has a lot of limitations as far as throwing, but he wins, and it may not always be the prettiest. It may not always be, the stereotypical quarterback way of winning, whether it be, being a pocket passer. It's more, predicated off the run, right? That's really what they want to do. There in Philly, and when the run game is going, it opens up the pass game as well. And look, he's had moments where he's been able to throw the ball, and a lot of and in the biggest moments, he's been able to really push the ball down the field. Now, there's been a lot of moments where he hasn't been so great when it comes to passing the ball, throwing the ball. And I think it's funny because he is one of the most debated quarterbacks in the league because of that, because of his ability or lack thereof. And, we kind of had this conversation early with Lamar Jackson, and I think he's put a lot of that stuff to bed. Now, different conversations are now happening with Lamar Jackson, more along the lines of the Josh Allen type of deal, like, hey, these guys got to get it done. Jalen Hurts, for his skill set, or like I said, depending on how you look at it and your perception of it, lack thereof, the thing that he does or he has done, now I know this is a team game, team sport, but we know that wins are also a quarterback stat. Championship, playoff wins. Super Bowls are these are quarterback stats. We judge quarterbacks way different than we judge any other player in football. And when quarterbacks win, when teams win, those quarterbacks get a level of recognition and admiration and are considered, hey, just win, baby. Just win, baby. Man, he's got all the talent, but they can't win. They can't get over the hump, right? And we've seen that happen with a lot of quarterbacks. I mean, think about how we talk about Dak Prescott. Think about how we talked about Justin Herbert. Think about how we talked about Trevor Lawrence for a few years up until this past year. It was like, yeah, we see the talent, but it's not necessarily correlating to wins, transitioning into wins for these guys. And some guys, we make excuses as far as how the team is built or reasons, however you want to look at it, especially if you're fans of these teams. But with Jalen Hurts, he's just winning. And his attitude, at least in the public eye, when he's up at the podium or being interviewed for ESPN or Fox Sports or whatever it is, he's always been kind of labeled as the guy who has an old soul. He's a football guy. And because of that, they've almost put like great leader terms. You know, they talk about him as if he's one of these transcendent leaders, great leader in the locker room. And, you know, he was kind of, he's the seriousness to Nick Sirianni, who people kind of felt was a little bit of a goofball as a head coach. Can't really be taken seriously. Rah guy, but like, is he? Is he a leader? Well, you've got Jalen Hurts there. You got the adult in the room. And so it seemed like it kind of worked, but over these last 2 years, things that have happened with A.J. Brown being obviously upset. And in some ways rightfully so. And little whispers of people who have left the Eagles. And then, you know, but then that kind of felt like, well, they've left, so now they're trying to talk some ish because they're not there anymore. And you always got to take those type of things with a grain of salt. But now the report that it's coming from inside the building, these people are saying this about Jalen Hurts and how he's rubbing people the wrong way and how people don't really like his leadership skills overall. And then on top of that, even though they were in the playoffs this past year, and that's the other thing about the Eagles, man. Like, and I don't know if this is the Eagles fans per se that do this, because there is a little bit of that because, you know, Eagles fans, they're the real deal. The Eagles fans are the real deal, right? And they love Philly. People love their Philly teams to the core. And you got to respect that. And they also like their teams to look a certain way. And you got to respect that, right? They want their teams to kind of embody the energy and the culture of the city. You know, hard working, grind it out. That's what you normally associate with Philly, tough. But I also think that there was some of this narrative with Philly, because there was a point 2 years ago, a couple years ago before they won the championship. I mean, they started off, I think they were like 4-1, like they were winning, and everybody was like, "But I don't like the way they win it, man. Get Nick Sirianni the fuck up out of here." I'm like, hold on, wait. And so kind of the same thing is happening now with Jalen Hurts. Like, they were still a good team this past year. They were still in the playoffs. Do they have things they need to address? Of course. And maybe it's the fact that we're not seeing Jalen Hurts improve as a passer. Maybe that's it. Maybe we're not seeing him just get better and better every year. Whereas as Lamar Jackson, who I thought was a decent thrower in college, you've seen him improve. You've seen him take the time to try to get better as a passer. And you've seen that go, you know, you've seen that on the football field. You've seen that on Sundays. You've seen that on Thursdays. You've seen that on Mondays when it comes to Lamar Jackson. Now, he's been injured, but you've seen the work getting put in, and you see how it's translated to the field. Jalen Hurts, we haven't seen it consistently enough, and then when we do see it, it's like, oh, shit, there it is. And then it's normally in a game where it freaking matters. So it's like all the shit that happened during the regular season, we're like, well, but he does that thing in that moment. So what the hell can we really say? And again, it goes back to that question. Do we think he's good because they win? For those people who think that he's top 10 quarterback. Or do we think they win? Maybe not all, but is he a main contributor to their success? And I get it, every quarterback is some way, shape, or form. But We can say Saquon for sure. We can say Devontae Smith. We can say a lot of cats on that defense for sure. A.J. Brown. But when it comes to receivers, it's a little bit more dependent. Same thing with Saquon, a little bit more dependent on the play call, whatever the case may be. And you know, it to me, and this is me personally, sorry I'm looking up something here. I feel like when it comes to quarterbacks, it's always the question like, well, then what the hell are you going to do? Are you going to draft a quarterback this year? They're still winning. They'll still probably be competitive next year, or this year coming up. Not saying they definitely will, but they damn sure got a good chance to win that division again. We'll see what Dallas does. We never know with Dallas. We never know with Dallas. Giants are kind of still in, I mean, I know they got Harbaugh, but they're still in some type of rebuild. How does Scatterboo get back? How does Jackson Dart look? Does he stop taking the hits that he took last year? And Jaden Daniels, we have no idea how he is going to be after just injury after injury after injury last year. And they damn near turning him into RG3, RG4. Robert Griffin the second. Not the third. He's Robert Griffin the third 2.0. So Philly still has a chance, a great chance to win that division. So, boom, you're in the playoffs, top 4 seed. Not a definite, but I think most of us would agree that outside of Dallas fan and outside of fans of other teams in that division, from the outside looking in, I think most of us would think that Philly is going to win that, or at least have a great chance to win that division. Don't come for your boy. I'm not talking shit about any of the other team. Just talking about Philly. You know what I'm talking about? Like, what is the thing that needs to be done or said or seen from Jalen Hurts from either the people in the locker room, which is the main thing, or the pundits outside? The analysts, the podcasters, the sports commentators. What needs to be seen, heard, or said from Jalen Hurts for us to be like, well, you know what? Okay, cool. Does he need to be consistent 250 and above? Does it need to be 300 and above? Damn near every game? Or are we okay with him going 150 and 150? So I just posed that question to the streets. What is the reality? What is the perception? Is Jalen Hurts good because the Philly Eagles win, and that's why we consider him to be one of the top quarterbacks in the league, if you do consider that? Or is he actually good and he's contributing? He is a major reason why the Philly Eagles continue to be successful. That's your boy now. I want to let's get into Major League Baseball a little bit here. And I'm going to try to put a couple things together. Because, first of all, I already told y'all how I feel about Major League Baseball. If you haven't seen, go check it out. Last episode of A-Ward Show, specifically Yo No Say Nada, where I talk about sports and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I have re-fallen in love with baseball over the last 5 years. And every year it gets better and better to me. And I had a long argument yesterday, Easter Sunday. Shout out to Easter. You know, hope you guys if you do celebrate Easter, had a great Easter with your fam. I did. I hooked it up. I had the pulled pork smoked. And man, I was out there smoking the pulled pork. That shit was delicious. delicious. Collard greens, mac and cheese, potato salad, man. Don't let me tangent. Going over on a tangent, my bad. A little bit of the jalapeno cornbread, man. Jalapeno business. Damn, that shit was good. Anyways, back to the sports. I done told y'all about my love affair with Major League Baseball recently. As a whole, not just the Dodgers. As a whole, I'm watching all kind of games. I'm watching all kind of games as much as I can. You know what I'm saying? I just watched the Angels last night. Obviously, living in Arizona, I catch a lot of Diamondbacks games. I got the plug. I'm still watching. But I still get. Don't worry about it. I still get to see my Dodgers, man, for sure. And I want to get into a few early surprises. Somewhat surprises. We already talked about the ABS system. I think most of us kind of agree on that. Although, like I said, I argue with my brother-in-law. I mean, he's younger than me, and he was 33, man, 30 miles. It was -10. I was walking in the snow. I listened to the radio. I'm like, boy, you younger than me. You sound older. What the hell going on around here? He said, I want to go back so when we don't have the internet. I just want to walk into the store. I won't dial up. Matter of fact, I don't want no internet. I just want corded phones. I want a rotary phone. I was like, damn, man. What you talking about? But I'll say this, man. One of the biggest surprises, and not a super surprise, but two surprises for me somewhat. The Guardians and the Marlins. Like, the Guardians got a good little group, man. Like, they got a good little squad. Not even gonna lie to you. And that's not just because they did beat my Dodgers. But they got a bunch of young cats on there that just they play baseball. They're not really looking for the long ball. They're looking, they're just looking to create get runners on base and create movement. And let's just put the ball in play as much as possible. And then we're going to rely on our pitching to do its job. And like, they've always been like kind of good, but like, man, just out the gate. And I know it's way too early. But the Guardians have been surprising. Same thing with the Marlins. The Marlins have been surprising. They started out the season. They've been winning some games. They got some pitching going on. Pitching's been really good for them. And so, again, it's way too early. We don't know exactly how these things are going to pan out. Mookie Betts for the Dodgers just suffered an injury. He's going to be out. I'll tell you why, for me personally, that's a good thing, because every time he gets hurt at the beginning of the season, and it's been a couple times, he was sick going into last year. Mookie getting hurt. It's a good thing. Man, get him some rest, man. Get him some rest. Take care of the injury, get the body right. We don't need him right now. Now, Kyle Tucker, who the whole freaking world was mad about going to the Dodgers, he's been a little bit better so far, the last couple of games. But, man, and I know it's super early, but I'm telling you right now, out the gate, he looked like them bright lights in L.A. was a little too bright for him. I'm just saying, out the gate, that's what it looked like. Like, he looked like them bright lights was way too bright for him early. Like, he was in like 160 at one point. I think he's back up to like 280 something. But Edwin Diaz, man, shit. Dun, 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 Y'all know what I'm talking about? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Now the surprise is not so much of a surprise, and we're gonna get into this. We gonna talk about this dude. No pause, press play. Get CB Bucknor the hell up out of here. Get him out of here. I really got one question, and then we're gonna start talking about CB Bucknor.
What the fuck are we doing?
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 What the fuck are we doing? CB Bucknor. What the fuck are we doing? CB Bucknor, do you even want to umpire? Do you want to have the job that you currently have? And if you do you want to be good at it? Or are you just collecting a check? We thought Hernandez was trash. CB Bucknor, what the hell are we doing? So for those who don't know, CB Bucknor is an umpire. Most of you should know if you're watching this, talking about sports. But those who don't know, CB Bucknor is an umpire for Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball has a umpire or an officiating union, so all the umps are part of a union for Major League Baseball, which makes it incredibly hard to really either punish them or hold them accountable in certain ways. And then, that's a large part why we've loved, the ABS system, in Major League Baseball. And CB Bucknor is proving exactly why we need some type of checks and balances in baseball. And why Major League Baseball has gotten it correct. So he had a game, I think it was the Reds, where they used the ABS system back to back. He was completely wrong, called it a strike. It was a ball. Then he had another one where he was the ump on first base. Said the runner never touched the bag, and therefore, since he never touched the bag and they tagged him after he ran through first, he was out. They go look at the replay. CB Bucknor, I don't know what he's looking at. He was daydreaming about what he was going to have for dinner after the game. Maybe he was looking at the stats. He might have bet on the game. Who knows? But he wasn't even looking at first base. He wasn't looking at the play at all. He was like, man, I wonder if they still got that sale at Kroger, man, at Fry's, man. In Cali's Rouse. You think Amazon gonna have a sale this weekend? Yeah, I need some new black hats to umpire here. I wonder how many calls I'm gonna screw up tomorrow. No, on purpose. Yeah. Oh shit, there was a play. Out. He is a problem for Major League Baseball. These guys have consistently been problems. Not all of them. Some really good ones out there. Some really good umpires. But this is why you have to have this ABS system and review system in place for these guys. And at some point, outside of like, hey, let's just fix the bad calls you make. If you making I know there's a human element to it, and that needs to be sustained in some way, right? Like I do think that you can't completely remove the human element from baseball, from the officiating of baseball. Like there is something about, certain umps having certain strike zones, and maybe they're always calling it inside or always calling it outside, and guys being able to adjust. Also being able to let the catcher frame and just other nuances to the game. But when somebody is this ass cheeks at their job, how do we let officials continue to get away with this shit in any sport, but especially in baseball? Especially in baseball, where it's continued to happen. Like there's freaking highlight reels of umps being ass cheeks, and CB Bucknor is a part of one of these highlight reels. Maybe a couple of them. He been ass cheeks. He been trash at officiating. That is no disrespect. No, it is. And I get it, man. These officials have a hard job to do. They do. It's hard. It is. To be, there's so many things going on. You got to watch the runner. You got to listen for the glove, for the ball hitting the glove. There's other things going on that are part of it as well, depending on the particular play. So I'm not taking away from the difficulty of their job, and they're going to make mistakes. But when you continue to make mistakes and just be like, hard. Like, dude, just be smiling about it. And this creates a problem for Major League Baseball. Now, I don't think any of us want the whole officiating system to go to some type of, AI or as they keep saying, robot umps, right? That I think that everybody's kind of a little afraid of. I think that was the biggest knock against the ABS. It's like, okay, now we're just going to go into this digital or AI type of officiating. And I don't think anybody really wants that. But the more guys like this, CB Bucknor, continue to screw up, the more it's going to lean that way. So either take care of the problem, Major League Baseball. I'm not saying fire him. Maybe you suspend him. Maybe you fine him. Luckily, Major League Baseball is reviewing these calls in real time and changing them. But you can't continue to be ass cheeks at your job without any repercussions. And unfortunately, CB, what you do for your career is on display for millions to see. So we gonna judge it. Whether we talk about it in public or not, we gonna judge it. It's what makes the ABS like, see, look at that. That's why. 'Cause of dudes like you. 'Cause of cats like you. So, yeah, get CB Bucknor, man. What the hell are we doing? Get him the hell up out of here. All right, like I said earlier, at the beginning of the show, we had the Women's National Championship, South Carolina versus UCLA. I'm not really going to dive into that game too much because UCLA put a ass whooping on them girls, on those young ladies. They put an ass whooping. The game was over not too long after it began. I was like, oh yeah, the game's on. I turned it. It was second quarter. It was already. I was like, oh snap. In the third quarter, it was like, see you later. But before the national championship game, we had the Final Four, and one of the Final Four games was South Carolina versus UConn. This was a major game. A lot of people looked at this as the national championship game, even though it wasn't. A lot of people felt like these were the two best teams, even though I feel like UCLA had one of the best, if not the best player in the tournament in bets, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But this was Don Staley. This was Geno Auriemma. This is UConn, the storied program of UConn women's basketball. So many Hall of Famers, so many All-Stars, so many great players have come out of UConn. This was South Carolina, the new bullies on the block who have been dominating over the last several years. We saw these two play each other last year in the tournament. And South Carolina whooped UConn's ass. A lot of people thought UConn was the best team in the country. And South Carolina whooped that ass. And Geno Auriemma goes on a post-game tirade about Don Staley, really specifically Don Staley, the head coach of South Carolina, and how one of his players had her jersey ripped by a player from South Carolina, although replay confirms that player ripped their own jersey. And he said that Don Staley didn't dap him up, didn't shake his hand before the game. Replay confirms that she actually did. Now, they didn't exchange in pleasantries. Hey, man, how you doing? How's the wife? Hey, good, good luck. I'm going to go coach. Good luck. That was it. And for those, go look it up. The clip's out there. If you guys have probably already seen it. But I think a lot of the response to this is like, yo, why is Geno being like this? Geno been like this. Geno been like this. He's done it in ways that we've kind of let him get away with it because he's been one of the best, if not the best coach in college basketball for 40 something years in women's college basketball. He dominated women's college basketball for years. Seasons upon seasons of going undefeated all the way through the championship. Normally having the best player in the country. And maybe not just one of the best, maybe three of the best players in the country on one squad. Normally has been known to, recruit really well. But I'm going to be honest with you, Geno always been like this. Geno always, from a fan standpoint, to me has always been a little like too full of himself. And he just can't, he says little things and it goes to the wayside because he wins and he's got talented players. Now, I've loved a lot of the players that have went through the UConn's women's basketball program. I think we all have. There's been a ton, too many to name. But LSU's recent success, South Carolina's recent success, and consistent success with South Carolina. All of a sudden, Geno, you're not the big dog anymore in women's basketball. And you got this coach over here who's a strong coach. And she will let you know where she's from. I was talking about the Eagles earlier. She from Philly. Go ask her. She from North Philly. She will tell you. Shout out to my boy DN3. Shout out to Mega Ran. My Philly brothers. And she'll let you know, Don Staley will let you know, man, I ain't worried about none of that shit. She'll let you know. And so now you have somebody who's strong, who's a presence in this game as a coach. And not only that, is succeeding, winning consistently, constantly getting back to the Final Four, constantly getting back to the championship, constantly being in that 1, 2, 3, 4 seeding range. Like consistently one of the best 4 teams in the country. Whether they win the whole thing or not, You now know South Carolina is going to be in the mix at the end somehow, some way. And Geno, you were used to just being a big dog in a room full of medium to small dogs. And the medium to small dogs, they fought amongst themselves. And you came in, big bad wolf, clean house. And you got used to that. Now that some other teams, specifically Don Staley, specifically South Carolina, has become what you were, and you're no longer the consistent, dominant program that you used to be, now you got some shit to say. Now you got a problem, and you making shit up. Like, you're not... If things are actually happening and you're actually upset about things that are actually happening, whether they're valid to the overall point or not, at least you're spitting facts. And it's up to everybody else. Not that it's important, but it's up to everybody else to judge, well, does that actually go to the point or not? But you straight out lying, and then had the nerve to apologize and never mention Don Staley in the apology. You apologize to the staff, you apologize to the team, the fan, whatever, but never mentioned Don Staley in the actual apology, who you went directly at. Don't say you didn't, because the proof is out there. The videos are out there. So I know the world and I know the country said, wow, I just never saw this coming from Geno. You sure about that? Because you can go back. First of all, Geno always been low-key a sore loser. He's always made little remarks when he loses. When he wins, he talks glowingly about the other team. He talks glowingly about the other team. He whooped their ass by 30. He'd be like, man, that's a good team over there. He gets his ass kicked. Well, man, the refs and man, everybody else. Man, shut your ass up. And then this time he's got some personal vendetta and issue with Don Staley. And won't just come out and say, man, I don't like her. Well, for whatever damn reason you won't just come out and say that. Because I don't like her. I'm not feeling the way she coaches. I'm not feeling the way that she goes about her business. And that's okay. You could just say that. Not everybody got to be friends out here in these sports and media streets. But don't act like a hoe every time you lose. And now you out here just talking smack just because you got your ass kicked, to be honest with you. So I know a lot of people said he should be fired. I don't think he should be fired because he's a great coach and he hasn't done anything outside of just being a sore ass loser and a hoe that warrants him being fired. But I think a lot of people who held him in some weird ass regard is like he's just this guy. He's just like, oh my goodness. And again, we don't know him personally. Maybe to the people around him that he knows and loves, he's a great human being. I'm not assassinating his moral standard or anything like that. But when it comes to the game of basketball, he's a sore ass loser and he's a hoe. He's a Han Solo. He's a hoe ass all by himself. Now let's get into some better news. And that's what I'm telling you. We're going back to the Geno thing, perception versus reality. Great coach, legendary coach, one of the best coaches in history, if not the best women's basketball coach in history. Debatable. Depending, For those that want to look at it a different way or have a different argument, I get it. But perception versus reality. But here's the reality. Lauren Betts for UCLA, she going to change the WNBA. And I know Caitlin Clark did her thing, and she did. And Angel Reese did her thing, and a lot of other great women's basketball players have done tremendous things, and there's going to be a lot more in the future. But for those of you who haven't seen Lauren Betts, who senior for UCLA, she'll probably be. I mean, I don't know. She'll probably be number one pick. I don't know. In the WNBA draft. She's the kind of player, man, like, first of all, a true big. She alters so many shots defensively. Her vision on the court is incredible, where she can create opportunities offensively from the post. She plays like an old school post player, which I freaking love. And the growth that she had from last year, her junior year, to this year, where to me, every time I turned on women's basketball and I saw Lauren Betts, I'm like, a lot of great players, and then there's Lauren Betts. And she was she was beast mode last year. Like, she was giving my team, USC. Shout out to Juju, get better. We love you. We miss you, Juju. Lauren Betts was putting in work. Not just against USC, but against a lot of other teams. I was like, God damn, every time we played, I'm like, God damn. But then Lauren Betts, man. I know we got Juju, but Lauren Betts, Juju's amazing. So is Lauren Betts. I'm telling you. And I really think if you guys pay attention to women's basketball, maybe you don't, maybe whatever, or if you want to start watching a little bit, Lauren Betts is going to be a player that we are going to talk about in next 10 to 15 years of all time great. I really believe that. I really, really, really believe that. Like, we're going to be like, yo, 4 years from now, we're going to be like, oh, she won another championship. Like, she is going to change a franchise and possibly change a lot for the WNBA and women's basketball. I really believe that she's that talented of a player. Like, what we need from basketball is the dominant bigs. Overall, men's and women's game. And Lauren Betts, man, she owns all that shit up down there. All that shit in the paint, she owned that. You got to rent, or you got to lease, or you got to Airbnb or Verbo if you go down there messing with Lauren Betts. I'm telling you right now. So if you haven't had a chance to watch, go look up. Just defensively, offensively, and her game from junior year to senior year, she was already really good. She got, exponentially better this past year. And that's not taken away from a lot of the other girls on the UCLA. They got great talent on UCLA. And they put that work in and they won the national championship. I think their first ever NCAA national championship. So shout out to UCLA for that. But I'm telling you, Lauren Betts, mark my words, barring anything crazy happening, because we know that life be life, and sometimes 10 years from now, we're going to be like, damn, Lauren Betts is a baller. Trust and believe. And don't let her stay somewhere around home. I'm telling you. So that's the reality is that my perception of Lauren Best is that is going to be a dog. So let's kind of bring everything all together. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, it's going to be a little bit about perception versus reality. Jalen Hurts. What is the reality of Jalen Hurts? Is he one of them ones? Or is the team one of the ones and he's getting a little bit more fluff because of that? Is baseball still doing what it's doing? I'm gonna be on this baseball train all year, all hundreds, whatever, however many games it is. Feel like they add on games every year, so I just don't know. I just know sometime at the end of the year we'll be done. Sometime at the end of the year. You know what I'm saying? Some months and months and months from now. Right now it's getting hot. We're gonna be done when it's cold. That's all I know. So we got a while. You know what I'm saying? But perception versus reality, CB Bucknor, he got bad perception, and the reality is we got to get him the hell up out of here. Perception versus reality, Geno Auriemma, is he who y'all thought he was, or is he who he actually is? Well, I think he's been for a long time. And perception versus reality, is Lauren Best is she one of them ones? She gonna be one of them ones, or am I overhyping it? Am I POM right now? Am I prisoner of the moment? So, I appreciate you guys for tapping in to another episode of the A Ward Show, another Yo No Say Nada segment where I talk about sports and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, comment, share. Hit that link tree. Follow your boy on all the socials. Follow my partners, Ripple the Wave, A Dot, who does the intro music for the A Ward Show, and Lost Perception, who does the What You Heard music for What You Heard Wednesdays, where we review new albums, new music. Sometimes we go back in time, but it's the music review show. It's a music review portion of the A Ward Show. So Lost Perception does the music for that. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys, tell a friend, tell their cousins, their mama, their grandmama, and them. Pull up on the A Ward Show. I hope you guys have a fantastic, fantastic week. And I'll see you turkeys next episode.